How you doing?
Good.
Good. It's been a little while.
8 months?
8 months. God, yeah. A lot happened in 8 months. Crazy. But it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to be sat in the same room. It's been a little while since we were even in the same country.
Yeah.
We've had like mini check-ins, Barcelona for off week.
Yeah, that was good.
And then when did you leave the UK?
June?
No, before that you were
Oh, yeah, I had like February, March and
February,
April.
March, and then
away.
you were back for Bristol.
I went to Miami Music Week and
yeah. You've been busy.
the retreat, and
Yeah.
I was in Thailand for.
God. Is your passport full of stamps now? Are you like coming to
Yeah, the guys, every time I go there, they're like going all the way to the back.
Yeah.
And then they're like going to the middle a little bit.
Yeah. Are you like close to filling it?
I think so. What happens when
you need to get a second one? So if you go to like, you can apply for a second one if you're one of those, especially because
you're one of those people.
One of those people, yeah. But I think so. Obviously, a lot of people have to send away passports for visas, but they still need to travel. So they have like two, so they can still travel. So you can do that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of those people.
I'd imagine we have a lot of people who use Trackstack are like that as well.
Yeah.
Where they're like, can you imagine being a DJ's passport? It's like, I filled another one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, for the DJs.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I
I don't really get the concept of still needing the stamp like that.
Yeah.
We're so like digitized. I don't know why that's lasted.
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. It makes sense that it should be digital. I think part of it as well is like there is definitely some hangover from us leaving the EU where they're like, go stand in that line.
Yeah.
And you're like, everyone else is, you're like, we have the same.
Did you know they can open that though at their own
Of course they can.
discretion?
Yeah,
They actually do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because I went to, where did I go? I went through France and they had it open.
Yeah, they were just like, yeah, go through, no worries.
So I think they can just turn it on when they
want to.
feel like it.
Yeah. It's like, you left.
Amsterdam, they always do it.
Amsterdam so
AD,
bad.
they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose.
I remember landing and be like, yeah, mate, I'll be like an hour. And then you're like, I'm going to be 3 hours.
Yeah. I'm going to drive next time.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of doing it as well. It's getting the ferry, driving.
Drive?
Or getting Eurostar, because then Isabel can come over there, actually.
Yeah.
And then she's going to get the Eurostar. And then... But yeah, 88, God, that'll be here in a minute.
Becoming a father, though, how's that been?
One of the best experiences of my life.
Because the last session we were like talking about you gearing up for it, and now it's happened.
Yeah, now it's happened. I'm a lot more tired. The sleep is unbelievable, which everyone says, but it's such a special thing, mate. It's like, you know, the dopamine hit of seeing him smile every time just keeps you very engaged, of being, you know, in his presence all the time. And it's hard work, obviously, but and obviously especially what we're doing, but it's such a nice thing. Like the stress of today, for example, going home and like having him on my lap and holding him after this will just make the rest of the day melt away. And yeah, really fortunate how amazing Isabel is as well. She's like born to be a mother and is very, very like, she's so natural at it. But it's fantastic. I'm loving it, even if it's like completely scary as well, being like, what do we do now? Googling at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Being like, why won't he sleep?
Yeah. I guess you got to trust your own flavor of parenting, right?
Yeah, it's like anything. It's amazing how
you can
much,
overread.
Yeah,
in
and
that
also,
topic forever.
You can, but it's also like amazing how attuned you become to just like reactions of things, types of cries, what he's feeling in a specific moment. You'd be like, he's hungry right now, versus, he's tired, or there's something else wrong. And that's just, you know, you get into that very quickly, which is nice. But, you know, fortunately, he's very happy, he's very healthy, and, you know, as things go, he's a very chill baby. So, you know, we've been blessed with a very, very good young boy. So, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, go Archie.
Yeah, so
love that, man. Love that for
but
you.
yeah, that's been my first 8 months of the year, as being like grounded in one place. We have always very different you know, life experiences in this.
Yeah, they couldn't be more contrasting.
Yeah, I know. We're probably looking at each other through the other side of the fence, being like, that looks like a lot of fun, right?
That's what Anna says.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would really like to just be chilled in one space.
Yeah.
Like, on the back of a moped. Like,
yeah, whilst driving around in Thailand, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to be wearing shorts and t-shirt right now.
they have their like pros and cons both sides.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I think obviously I've been doing the nomadic life for like 2 years now properly. I think the first year wasn't really the same version I wanted it to be, but it's like 2 years of doing it on and off.
Yeah.
And you get like more comfortable with it. Like you get used to like it's like you find routine in it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you land in the next Airbnb or hotel, it's like you unpack everything, you know, like you've got enough, like everything's like enough.
Yeah. You know also what like to leave, like what not to pack I can get in the next place versus the things that like, no, I need to have this in my bag.
Yeah.
And then also like, you know, finding a gym, finding like the good food spot that you can rely on, the good coffee spot, the place to work. Like once you've done that, you're kind of like, okay, I always notice like you get to a place and there's like 2-3 days where you're like, okay, I'm figuring out what life looks like here.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, now I'm locked in again.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's the...
Asia's easier for that because it's like, it's so easy to move around. And obviously in the cities, you know, the islands can be a little bit more, only a fraction more complicated.
Yeah.
But I've only been to like what people classify as like easy spots.
Yeah.
So I've not been to like really off-piste areas yet.
Go to like Fiji. Or
Yeah,
something.
like Fiji or like, you know, South America I haven't done.
It's amazing that some people are like, I'm going to run my digital business whilst in like one of the most difficult places to run a digital business in the world, but it's also beautiful. I guess that's the trade-off. Is
where in Asia, you mean?
Yeah, you can go to some amazingly remote places, but they're beautiful, but the Wi-Fi is shocking and like the infrastructure's not great.
Well, you know, Asia's infrastructure for telecommunications is like really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially Thailand. Like you can be like on an island and have 5G.
I was going to say you always have amazing Wi-Fi.
Like in Copenhagen, it's 5 bar 5G.
That's amazing.
Like
just everywhere.
on this tiny little island. You know, it's better signal than you get in England.
Yeah. It's, I guess
I'm walking around London now and I'm still like 1 bar 4G. I'm like, what's that all about?
Yeah, it's I guess as well. It's like a you know, infrastructure's newer because we haven't got like we've got Victorian stuff in the UK that's still like the tubes were built 120 years ago and some of the infrastructure, the sewers were 140 years ago, whereas like some of these places were like, oh, this was put in the ground 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah,
so it's
very
like,
much. Yeah.
Even it's just naturally easier to be upgraded and stuff like this.
I'm always sort of astounded at how many people are doing this lifestyle though.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's not really taboo anymore. Like there's loads of people out there doing it, which is nice as well because it means there's, you know, more options and more people. Like I met a lot of people who like really sort of like have based themselves in these places. Like they live in Thailand or they live in Bali.
Yeah.
Or they, you know, Dubai is a bit different, but you know, they've moved from the UK to Dubai and it's cool. It's cool meeting people who've gone and taken different roads because when I was younger, I thought wanting to do that was a bit taboo and a bit like, oh, that's alternative.
Sure. Yeah.
But then you meet more and more people doing it.
Yeah. And also it seems like, you know, the idea, it was always one of those things where it'd be like, oh, you're going to go, but you're always going to come back. Whereas now like people are putting down like proper routes.
Yeah.
Having kids, buying property, doing the things that you would do in your native country, but there and being like, yeah, this is my home now. And like the lifestyle, which was once nomadic is now, I've just emigrated. And this is what I'm doing now, which is, I think is nice as well. Cause it's like, we're just so lucky that we can find our place, you know, just because you're born somewhere doesn't mean it is your like the place you feel most natural or the place you feel like the best energy, which I think is important. You go to like, been fortunate enough to travel to a lot of places and, you know, you step off a plane and you spend a couple of hours in a city or a place and you're like, yeah, this isn't for me. Or you're like, oh, I really connect with this. You feel something a bit different. So
yeah, I have that in Thailand.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I always know. I'm like, I love this place.
It's like every time you
in Bali, not so much. I think I went to Bali in July and just didn't hit.
Yeah, it's just, and you can go to some amazing places and be like, this was great. Like I really enjoyed being here for a bit and like either holidaying or just spending some time. But like doesn't, just because a place is great on paper doesn't necessarily mean you're going to connect with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's an interesting contrast, because walking around somewhere like Bangkok, I feel really safe, but then recently walking around London, I'm always sort of checking my phone and like, oh, can I take my phone out here?
Yeah, that's
it's a bit sad, because I didn't always feel like that in London.
It's interesting the changes that have happened in like the phone snatching is it's one thing I noticed now is like you do start to check it just because you hear stuff. I've been fortunate enough and never had my phone snatched.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Which is, but at the same time, like you go anywhere in central London now, I feel all right where I live, but like if I go up into town, like walking around where we've been at the ministry, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to walk down the pavement just looking at my phone. Like,
no,
or like if you're waiting for an Uber, just like your phone goes in the pocket. But
yeah, but that's it. It shouldn't be like that.
No. It's shitty that it is.
Yeah. But yeah, talking of infrastructure of different places, infrastructure of Trackstack, that's been undergoing a massive amount of change this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. We just had a call with Oscar, one of our devs who's been with us since the start of the year, and he presented to us what he's done, which is amazing. Which obviously it sounds so simple, but it's like, what has he done for this year, and it's aggregated it all into one presentation. And actually it's amazing how much has been done behind the scenes that he's been working on that has made the product and the platform stable and just usable. Which, not to say it wasn't before, but it's one of the biggest changes that we've seen in the company is going from us 2 years ago to building a team, and as the user growth has gone up, is being able to support more and more people and making sure some of those obvious little bugs that prop up that before we would just jump on and fix are now being thought about and tested and made sure that they're secure. And as we add more stuff to it, it's feels like a really stable platform now, which is maybe we wouldn't have said that 6 months ago, which
no, I don't think so. It's much more stable now. And talking to team, I think that's a good topic, because we were hesitant about really embracing team for a few months. And like doing the things that you need to do to kind of make a team feel inclusive and organized. And it feels like now we kind of stepped into that more, which it was challenging at first, and I think now it's kind of feels more natural that we have like this structure which kind of makes sense, and we're able to then make decisions on how best to support each team with that infrastructure they need to succeed.
Yeah. Which is actually, it's interesting to think about as like team. So we kind of came up with the concept of having a core team, which these concepts are not new. We're not saying it's nothing groundbreaking, but basically saying like we went from having all of these different people who are just doing, a couple of hours a week doing bits and bobs, to actually having a core team whose main focus in their daily lives is Trackstack. And that's a big transition for us, because previously, we used to have someone doing support, and then someone doing a bit of marketing, someone doing a bit of socials, and we would communicate with them and be like, this is your job, and we'd catch up within it individually, but they wouldn't really speak to anyone else in the team. It was very separated and siloed, and that's completely changed to now like having team catch-ups and having team members working together where we're not involved in the conversation, and having some autonomy in the way they work, which most people who run businesses or have worked in organizations would be like, that's how a company works. But it's also the way that we've always done things, of going from just us two to having that core team has been it's been a big cultural change. It's been a big change in the way that we approach running a business, and it's just like the evolution of Trackstack. And it's like, I look at our social media, and I think I've said it last time we were on the podcast, of saying like, it's amazing that I open my Instagram and then I see these posts and these different content streams. I'm like, oh, that's cool. We did this with this person. I had nothing to do with it. And it's like, that's now we're seeing more of that in other parts of the business, where, people are collaborating and making things happen without us being the exact leaders of it.
Initiators.
And that's great because it does enables us to be more productive and focus on some of the things that really need us to hold them, and some of the important like drivers of actual business growth and the product growth. And I think like the change to what we'll probably talk about a bit more today with freemium and Trackstack 2.0, which we've been talking about internally, and we've let people know as well that this change is coming, and it's been sort of, I'd say, the next evolution of what Trackstack is going to become.
Definitely, yeah. And I think important to highlight how we're embracing AI more into the team without a sort of view of replacement, which I think is like the most common way of thinking about AI is like, how can I replace? But we're thinking about how we can empower our team to delegate to AI. So just like we delegate and we, use, team to like do things and scale us and what we can do, because we can't do everything simultaneously in parallel. Like I'm sure at the start we were, and it was crazy, but we brought and built a team to help us empower us and scale what we're doing so it can impact more people. And AI is also like another layer to that, which is like we can empower our team to kind of have space back for them to focus on higher level things, higher level creativity, ideas that, are more complex, more nuanced, things that AI can't just do off the bat. And I think that's a very important way to view AI, which is not outright replacement and automation, because it's quite that, you can only replace so much before the company becomes dehumanized. And I think we'll see companies that kind of actually get penalized for that. And people will, it's just like organic food versus unorganic food. It's just like, it will become like a label, like, oh, that's too processed, and I want an organic company. And it will be like the same with AI. And I think for us, it's like from the get-go, our sort of stance on AI is like them working together. And it's like, we want our team to feel like they're in charge of the AI. The AI is not trying to compete with you. And that is creating a lot of different avenues to explore how we build systems and infrastructure to support us and the team to do that. And I think that's going to be a really interesting development over the next 6 months to a year.
100%. And it's been like, it depends on how, I think, like you said, a lot of people view it from the outside as potentially being a negative thing about like it's going to start replacing companies and replacing teams, and there'll be a huge amount of that, and like it will expose a lot of people who are potentially earning a wage from doing something that's could be automated. But I think what you'll see, and this is what we've become, is instead of the people who are writing the code, it's like we've become the orchestrators of the AI that writes the code, and like becoming almost like professional prompters. And that's like, you'll see the new juniors in these fields will actually be learning not necessarily how to do the skill, but actually how to manage the agents that do the skill, and manage the prompts and manage the outputs and doing the testing to make sure they've got it right, and doing that feedback loop, which you see it in so many of these potential roles that are going to be replaced by AI. It's like, maybe one day you'll get to a point that AI is just doing everything in that process, but for a long period it's going to require some humans to be checking, to be making sure that it fits the business logic.
You can't just let it run autonomously.
That's exactly like, and I think when companies recognize it, and like what we've seen and what we've started to implement is like saying, well, to our team, like, okay, how can you have a mindset which says like, okay, look at my day-to-day tasks. Everyone, like I know everyone in our team has a task list longer than they can get through in a week. Like they've got so many things they could be doing. It's like, well, okay, if you could take the top 10% of those things and just automate them off the bat and just be like, we're going to offload that to AI. Well, the next, you can get on with the other things that actually require some deeper thinking, some things that would have taken you, say, for example, a day, we can take half a day. And those are the things which are the efficiencies that I think, if we were starting the company again, we'd come and like teach people immediately, rather than saying like, okay, we're going to hire this person to do this role and then introduce AI. It's now a I think it should be mandated as a first thing when you hire someone. Like, here's how you are onboarded with AI. This is how you're going to be working with AI immediately.
Yeah, it's like our company AI.
Yeah.
Which is called Truman.
Yes, which is cool.
Yeah.
And also it's funny because like we came up with this. Well, you came up with this like literally 10 years ago that we had like
it's going to be an AI.
It's going to be an AI, and we were like, yeah. And then we got into chat
Ahead of my time.
we were very ahead. And when we started the chatbot company,
I was like the chatbot guy at Accenture.
yeah, I know. Which is
I was
hilarious.
like, this is going to be big, and then everyone was like, no, chatbots are, and then it's like, okay, everyone just uses chatbots.
It's now like it's the most used way of searching for anything. Google's now got a competitor, and it's a chatbot.
Google's first competitor.
Yeah,
who would have thought? I don't use Google much, man.
No.
Yeah.
And also, like, now I use Google. I'm like, I read the AI answer it gives me, which is like inferior to ChatGPT. But
yeah, it's
like,
worrying for websites. Like just, like general
SEO
websites,
and stuff like this,
Yeah.
It is interesting though. I Googled this the other, I think I showed you. No, I put into, Trackstack came up through ChatGPT.
Yeah, it does.
I was like, how do you send demos to this person? You're like, well, you need Trackstack. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
I noticed that.
You're like, wow, this
I've been shown that a few times. Yeah, that's really cool.
So, but yeah, I mean, I guess let's talk about what's going on, what changes are coming, what's the big headline news that's coming for Trackstack in the next couple of months.
Well, we announced earlier this year we're going to do 2.0. So I think, that was basically the whole year's initiative of like transitioning from Trackstack, the demo promo inbox, which everyone knows us for, to Trackstack, the revenue engine for electronic music professionals, to build a sustainable career on their terms, which is, we need to unpack that. But that's kind of like how we're kind of repositioning Trackstack and the frame that which we've decided on all the products we've built that support that and how they make sense. And I think going into that and talking about that as a concept, then PRM, and then the products, and then how they all work together. And then an example of that with Kai William would be like probably a good way for us to really unpack it.
For sure, yeah. Well, yeah, I think, the first iteration of it is, moving Inbox, or the product known as Inbox, which is what people know as Trackstack, is just now one of the products rather than the whole thing, but is the cornerstone. One thing we've spoken about previously when we've done other podcasts, and just what we kind of bang on about, in a lot of our conversations, is about how important the cycle of having an inbox is in terms of building that list of professional contacts, and then understanding that this is the source of probably 80% of DJs and labels, their income and revenue. So if you look at the people who buy music, it's probably coming from that list of professional fans rather than the fans that just stream the music on Spotify or come to the gigs and buy the tickets. And so through that lens is what we've looked at all of the future products that we build into the Trackstack platform. So obviously we have Studio that's been running pretty successfully in a beta now since the end of last year, but we opened it up to the beginning of this year for different users, different use cases. It was invite only, and it's been broadly really successful. We've had we've learned a ton about how people want to communicate their expertise and actually build community around their expertise, and working with some established communities versus those that are starting for the first time, people who are making educational content for the first time. But then more than that is saying, like, it's not just about creating educational content, but like, what are the other things that go into building a community? How do you communicate with people? What things do you offer away from just videos that people can watch and learn how to make music? And so Studio as a product is getting to a point where, I believe by the end of the year we'll have it launched and available for any Trackstack user to come in and start building their community for their professional fans, and not just having it focused on, sitting down and making videos on how to build tracks in Ableton, but, looking at how you market your releases and communicate them to your fans and your professional fans, how you offer your services, your one-to-one lessons, your mixing and mastering, or even just like introducing new revenue streams which people don't really have right now, which is, you know, paid track feedback and, you know, giving people a bit of your time to show them how they can make their tracks better, which a lot of people are doing for free right now. They'll sit on a call, or they'll tell one of their mates who've sent them a track via WhatsApp to say like, okay, how would you improve this? And, you know, it's something that people are giving away for free right now, but loads of people want to pay for. And it's more than the current feedback system in Inbox, which is more about the discovery of demos and promos and a discovery of music, which you use for your sets and assign to your label. And this is looking at ways in which we can help people add that additional income stream to their workflow.
So the stack of free tools, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So just kind of going back over that. So we kind of identified that professional relationship management, or PRM, is kind of like the category of what Trackstack is and what it's creating. And we recognized and learned that when DJs are kind of growing their career from the early stages of like stepping into the first few years of like, hey, I'm making music full time, I'm doing this, typically like how they're funding that and sustaining that is through, you know, gigs, selling music, you know, playing at parties, sponsorship opportunities, all the typical ways an artist makes money. But then actually in electronic music, there was a lot more people doing it through their expertise. And that was a insight for us last year, where we had an aha moment where we were like, oh, okay, so actually Inbox is, okay, a cool way to get your demos and promos, but there's something more here, like hit to someone who wants to basically build a relationship that's beyond that. You know, Inbox is like the first point of contact to creating that relationship, because you don't know who's finding out about you across all the media you put out as a DJ. So like, let's take the Kai William example, which is our favorite example. And we're going to be speaking more about this at the Developed event in September 20th. But essentially, you know, Kai William on the face of it is like a successful DJ in New York, runs a record label, he plays all around the US and throughout Europe. And he has all this media, you know, sets, photos, Instagram, socials, all of this media, which is creating and growing his fan base, his typical music followership across all those channels. And within those channels of followers are, you know, other professionals. And like, we call them professionals because, you know, it's the way to classify the two types of fans someone can have as a DJ, which is like, I've got my general music fan who will stream my music, come see me play. And then I've got my professional fan who does all those things, but actually wants to buy the music off Beatport, maybe wants to buy the vinyl version, and is more interested in my journey in much more depth than a typical music fan. And what we realized is that those relationships are being used to generate income and to support the actual livelihood of that DJ day to day, and paid rent, pay bills, buy equipment. And that was like a massive moment, because before, our view of Trackstack was like, get your music sent to the world's best DJs, and we kind of thought it ended there. We didn't even realize that contact list was really anything. It was only when we kind of identified that someone like Kai, and now many, many others, in fact, pretty much everybody, were using it to generate, you know, opportunities to sell one-to-one sessions, sell track feedback. And, you know, it started off with him just emailing them.
Well, it's an interesting thing as well, because our perspective, and I think the perspective of a lot of people that are not in the industry, is they see a big group of DJs who are like professional DJs, and you either are or you aren't. And there's this assumption that you're earning enough money from the shows that you're playing that that's what you do now, or you go and have a full-time job and you're trying to make it there. Where actually, like, 80% of those that are in this position where, you know, they're still playing every weekend and they're probably touring throughout the week sometimes, but you know, it's not enough to sustain them, like you said, pay their rent, pay their bills, to do all of the things that they want to do as a music professional. So supplementing it with different services, whether it's mixing, mastering, or one-to-one lessons, it's not overt. You don't see it on people's Instagrams. It's something it's done under the like in the shadows almost, but everyone knows it goes on, and that's important because it's like, it's super informal. And that was the whole aha moment, was like, that's what that list is, that's who you're selling to. All of those people on that list who've sent you a track, who is making the music, they're the ones who are buying all those services. It isn't, you know, the Sophies, we say, who are just coming to the gig and buying the t-shirt,
streaming
buying the ticket, streaming it on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
But even deeper than that is the reason why the relationships are so important is because all those people who sent you tracks that want to get signed to your label or want to get played by you, they're like your super fans. You hear super fans in lots of other industries, but like, they're the ones that come to your shows. They tell all of their friends and they say, guys, I'm organising, we're going to that rave with this DJ.
Because he's really cool.
Yeah.
He or she is really cool.
Yeah,
and
we're buying the tickets. That sells 10 tickets and then they all turn up. And that's like, I bet if you go to any of these nights, especially these smaller ones that are happening in cities around the world, like, you've probably got, say if there's 200, 300 people in the venue, there's probably 5 or 10 people that have organised for their group of friends to go there because they like the person who's playing.
They're in it. They're the bedroom DJ, or they're the up-and-coming DJ, or they're just the real electronic music enthusiasts.
Yeah, and
in their friendship group.
Yeah.
They're the guy that's like, oh, who's cool right now?
Yeah, and they're the ones that are selling out the events. And like, even if you look around the London scene, like you go to 93 Feet East, like a lot of the people who are there are the ones that are like trying to make it. They're
in the scene,
in the scene, and they're bringing their, and that is like the heart of why those people are so important. And those relationships and fostering that relationship is really important, and that really is like what, when we talk about professional relationship management, is like, that is what it is. It's making sure those relationships are fostered and they're improved, and you're, you know, why listening to a track and just saying yes or no is so important. Like,
yeah,
it's
sort of, you know, that's when we started to realize that there was a bigger play, and why 2.0 started to come together in our minds, because we realized, oh, there's another whole world here that we can support, and the vision and the mission of Trackstack has always been the same, which is to help electronic music professionals have a sustainable career. And I think the sustainable part was always a bit like, what does that mean? Just getting your tracks heard and played and signed? Yeah, that's what we thought. We had a view that was small, but that opened us up and kind of expanded our view to like, yeah, sustainability to us means, you know, secure revenue streams on your terms. And I really want to underline your terms, because for the most part, most artists in this scene are dependent on others for their income. They're dependent on the label, the manager, the bookings, the promotional agent, you know, the royalties, and everyone's got their hand in it. So like the actual product, you and your artistry and your music, it goes through so many hands. That's why it's so hard to generate real revenue off the music itself, which is sad because it should be that simple, but it is what it is. However, with your expertise, it's like that really truly is yours. And like, we realized that we want to really empower and make that not informal, make that not something you shouldn't be proud of, and make that something where you're like more open about it, and like, yeah, I also sell my expertise and that's mine, it's on my terms. And that's a really important thing to underline of why we're repositioning and going down that road, because that's what leads to sustainable career growth.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really cool, because when we look at what Trackstack is becoming, it's like going through some teething pain right now in terms of like what it looks like to the face of for the public face and our storefront on our website. But all of these things, when, you know, by the end of the year they'll come to fruition. And, you know, the point of us even having this conversation is so people understand like where we're going, rather than just business as usual about where we've been. And I think it's an exciting time, because looking at the products that we're spending time on building now, there's this we've even seen it with some of the examples with studio. There's a very different edge to it in terms of like the impact on people's lives. Like, you know, some of the guys that have started studios and this is their first, like, dipping their toe in for the first time into building a community and selling their expertise, seeing the results they've had and the outcomes they've been able to achieve, it suddenly puts a whole new lens on like what we could become as a business. And, you know, going from a productivity tool or like, hey, I'm going to sign up because I want to send some tracks, to actually then looking at it like, oh no, this is where I feel at home to grow my career. And, you know, if I could have one wish a year from now, that's like how people view us, rather than being like, oh, I'm just going to go here and send some tracks now.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's a hard thing, because you go from having a very like single-minded action to being like, okay, this is all encompassing. This is something that this has multiple facets. And again, I will use the example. It's like, you know, becoming an AWS for the music industry would be an amazing achievement, where, you know, you might only be using 2 products as opposed to every single product, but they're becoming your infrastructure for your career. Like actually having things you rely on, in the same way that people who have properties rely on Airbnb to rent out their properties on the holiday market, is that, you know, you don't turn off Airbnb. You don't just like stop using it because it's a core part of your business, and you feel safe using Airbnb because if something goes wrong, Airbnb are going to help you sort it. You feel like your house or your flat is presented really well. It's given a fair chance. There's ratings. There's all of these things which technology is fundamentally improved about, and the internet has improved about services. Is like, that's the same for the music industry. There's so much informal practice going on with relationships and booking lessons and invoicing people and mixing and mastering. And, you know, if we can come along and say, even for a few people, to give them some safety and some structure around their business, that would be an amazing goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just really sort of opening up the idea to it, where it's not seen as something that you should be hiding, because culturally it's always seen as something that you don't openly share. No. It's like, first of all, buyers, you know, artists, you know, rarely like share that they get track feedback or get support with their tracks or get help. I think there's a view that everyone should do it themselves, and they should be a solo, you know, doing it all the way as pure as possible. And equally, the other side, the seller, also kind of wants to be only known and seen as the artistry, not seen as someone who's like a professional end to end. So I think one of the most important measures of if we've done the right thing is you know, making it, not say cool, but just making it seem like a discussion that's just as open as like my tracks charting.
Yeah, it's accepted. Yeah, and like, this is it. There's, you know, a lot of people think there is something negative attached with the fact that you're still learning when you are established. And like, I think there's something further from the fact that you are still improving, and you'll still have the humility to say like, yeah, I'm still seeking someone to teach me something. Like, we had a conversation, I think last year, with Jamie. He was like, yeah, I have, you know, like, there's new versions of Ableton coming out all the time, and like there's updates to the products. Like, if you're touring all the time, how are you expected to keep up with that? And, you know, there's an opportunity for tons of people who, and we know of plenty, like, I won't mention them specifically, but like serious touring artists that don't need to jump back in and make tunes, that are taking their time to work with individuals who are teachers that do have the time and sit down in the studio to learn how to actually take advantage of some of these newer features and some of the newer plugins, and actually are still working on their craft, even though that, you know, realistically they don't need to go and release any more tunes. They could just tour around the rest of the world for the next 3 or 4 years, and make money. And that's, I think, is a mindset that if more people accepted and said that, you know, learning is something that continues, even though just because you're an international touring DJ and you've quote unquote made it, doesn't mean that your craft suddenly stops, because it is important that you continue, because you might not always have those events to fall back on. Your sound might
like any career, you have to constantly invest in your skill set.
Yeah,
you know, it's like us, we have to invest in learning how to use AI, and you know, that's something we have to do, because that's our professional craft. And,
yeah.
yeah, I think with electronic music, it's always about like the music and the that side of it. But this is just like another whole side of it that's in the shadows.
Yeah.
And we're just shining a light on it and saying, look, this is okay. And this is actually, for many people, probably the first and only path to actually really embrace this as a full-time career, which is our ultimate objective. Like, Inbox was supposed to be, and still is, a place where if you're ready and your tracks land with certain DJs and labels on there, then yeah, it can really accelerate your career growth, like massively. I've seen it again and again and again where people just go right through. And for many, they don't quite hit it yet because they've not quite found their sound, or they've not quite found the right people to send it to, or they're just like not there in themselves. It can be many factors to that. And they require more time. And the difficult thing is that you see people accelerating, and then you compare yourself, and then you're like, oh, it's not working for me. I'm not getting anywhere. And then you it's just much easier to quit. And sometimes when you are working at a full-time job and there's pressure, and you don't really have like a plan that you're presenting to yourself, or a plan that you're presenting to your partner or your parents, where it's like, hey, yeah, I want to do this as a career. And everyone's like, so like, what's the plan? What's the business plan? And it's the same thing. It's like, this is a business, like going to become an electronic music professional, a DJ, or someone in this industry. It's like, it requires a bit of a plan. It requires a plan for your artistic output, but it also requires a plan for your, value, your, the expertise that you're going to accrue over that time, because that's also just like Airbnb is like, you've got that spare room that you're not really utilizing, and it's just kind of bringing that awareness to people, like, hey, look, like, you can stop trying to bat for six, and like get in there and like, quit the job or take a bigger leap, and then use Trackstack to help support that journey as you progress and take bigger hits at becoming more of the artistic version of you that you want to like play out. So like, if you want to go all the way and like tour around the world and play at these gigs and parties, or have your own thing going on, it might take time. It might take a while.
Oh, it 100% will. And like, that's the cold reality of it is like with any other creative endeavor or any other, like even sport, just because you're the quote unquote best or you have the talent doesn't necessarily mean you're going to break through and make it in
be on the team.
The big league. Like there's so many other factors, and there's a ton of luck, and all you can do is give yourself the best opportunity. And I think if you said to most people, hey, like, you're not going to be headlining every show around the world, but you get to work in electronic music every day, working with producers, teaching them, doing X, Y, and Z, whilst also still doing that when you can and having a life in it, I think most people would say like, yeah, I'll take that, because it's,
it's a middle ground.
It's a middle ground, and it's also like, you are still funded, like, for the people who are like genuinely passionate about the music. Absolutely. Like, yeah, not everyone's a teacher, but we always find ourselves so lucky that we get to work in this industry, because it's like, sometimes we take it for granted because it's hard work what we're doing, but it's like everyone you speak to, they're like, oh, that's really cool, that must be really interesting. I'm like, yeah, it is. Some of the people we get to interact with, some of the things we get to do, some of the opportunities we get to do is amazing. And it's the same for if you're trying to make it as a DJ or producer, and that you find a path that allows you to work in this industry. It's incredible. Like, I think we're all very lucky too, and so being able to give more opportunities like that, I think is a really great endeavor.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, sort of improving the health of the economics of the space.
Yeah. The economics is an interesting thing though as well, because like, you compare it to a lot of industries, and they've matured in a way where there's jobs platform, there's jobs boards, there's people working around building products that are like specifically around how you do things. Like, there's accounting tools, there's project management tools, but music's always been one of those things that's kind of been left behind, and has been in this like weird stage of, there's been this legacy model of labels pay you out and that's how you make money, and then streaming kind of changed that completely, and now events and touring is the thing that kind of pays you money, and there's never really been this alternative that sits in the middle of, hey, like I can like sign up for an account and start earning money here. Like it just doesn't really exist in music, and that's why I think it's like I feel really good about the path that Trackstack's on. And some people are like, oh, why are you doing that? And this is exactly why. It's like if we can become that's I think is a really worthy thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it leaves it better than we found it, because it's like you've reshaped it for the best.
Yeah.
It gives more people a chance, because if you go back a layer as well, it's like, well, it grows the industry because more people stay in it, they don't exit.
Yeah.
Because when you're young, yeah, you want to invest inordinate amount of time into becoming like the bat for six. You know, I remember when I was young, I was like, I just want to be a DJ, just DJ. That's all I could think about. But there are people using studio that are examples of people who are like, okay, like I'm letting the whole playing around the world thing go.
Yeah. But
I've been in this for 25 years and I really know my shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to start this community. I'm going to I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to play a few select gigs that really like float my boat.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because I really like it. And then you're there way more relaxed. You're way more in the moment. You're more present. You can see it. I see them doing it, and I see Timmy P sort of living a more like, I don't know, of course, like the ins and outs of his life, but from the get-go, it seems like he is in a more powered state.
For sure, yeah. And I look at Timmy's a great example because, like, he's also just had his second kid this year, and like, he's clearly someone who cares a lot about family and doing that with his partner. And I think it's amazing that he does get the opportunity to do both. And he clearly cares a lot about the scene, and he loves teaching, and like the conversation where he wants to be doing more of that and less of the admin, and those sort of problems that come up now. But I think you've hit the nail on the head, like being able to have those more select gigs. And like, I think the last time we saw him, he was like doing a gig in Fabric. It's like, if you could choose to just play Fabric, that's pretty nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
but then it's like the alternative is if he was just waiting for those gigs. Yeah. He might not be ready.
Yeah. Because
if you exit, or if you're not in it as much, or you're super stressed, then those opportunities don't really come around. No. So I think keeping people in it grows it for everybody else, and then everybody across the value chain benefits, because if you're encouraging the next wave of young people to try their best to try and become their best version of it, they're also they're investing their money into samples, plugins, equipment, everything that goes along with this career, and that grows and that keeps everyone else going, right? Yeah. If more and more people exit just because they can't become the best straight away, it shrinks the pool, shrinks the overall industry.
Big time. And it also goes back to like looking at the grassroots of the scene, people putting on more events, that having an impact on the nighttime economy and
the local economy,
down, like
the taxis, the takeaways,
all of those things. And it's such an undervalued part of our society, because also it's so linked with our culture. Like, we're so lucky in the UK that we've had such an important imprint on like global culture from music that's exported from the UK, and so much so in electronic music as well. It's not just in pop and rock, but it's the same in electronic. A lot of the artists that have such global presence, and it's the same in Europe. And you compare it of how that's nurtured in, say, for example, Amsterdam or in the Netherlands, and how they treat the nighttime economy versus the UK, and you think, well, like, this is it would be so much more beneficial if like government took it more seriously, and it was something that was invested in, so that people who are wanting to commit their lives to it and their livelihoods, then they would feel a lot more supported, and they feel like they're going into something that's not going to die in 10 years because of all the venues are shutting down. And it's a shame, but it also just shows you like how much perseverance and resilience that people have that are making the music. They will keep going and keep going because they love it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So excited to kind of, it takes time to like build something out like this, and it definitely, on the face of it, it looks like nothing's changed, but like there's so much that we're kind of trying to like it feels like a car that you've been like building each part separately, and then we're gonna like put the car together soon. Well, like, and then it's gonna be like, oh look, it's a car.
It's a good I said like it's a good time to say like, okay, like what is actually changing. Like the first thing that people will notice, and I think the majority of people who listen to this will be like, well, okay, so like what will change? And I think the first thing is, we're calling it freemium, which is just a SaaS or software term that people use as like, what is freemium? Well, freemium is the idea that you have a product that you sign up to and you can use a certain amount of it for free. And then when you get to a certain stage, you pay for it. Trackstack's always been like, if you want to get into Trackstack, you pay for it. But then we've had this free experience, which is the public links, which people can send their tracks to, which doesn't change because that's just like fundamentally how the product works. But what we're doing is, instead of when you send a submission and you go to the website and you see a submission receipt, that experience is just moving inside the inbox. Everyone's not just getting an inbox, but it just means that experience will be inside. And so it consolidates the overall experience into one application. On top of that, which will be, that's like the first major thing, which most people will notice. But the second thing is also these other products we talk about. Studio first, then Elevate will then be managed from what we call Inbox, or like the Trackstack platform. So people will be able to spin up their studio, they'll be able to spin up their Elevate store and start doing these things where they're starting to bring money in. They'll be able to attach their bank accounts and they'll be able to say like, okay, I'm now offering mixing and mastering or track feedback, and they'll start to be able to do it. And that's like, if we look at Trackstack over the next 3-4 months, by the end of the year, then people will start to see those features coming in, or they might see like, oh, someone shared their Trackstack store link. Okay, I'm going to go see what that's like. I can go buy a production lesson, or I can go buy some track feedback, and that will be something that will start to, not be immediate for people, but they'll see it around and they'll see it shared on people's like Instagrams and link in bio tools, and eventually be like, hey, I want to try this, and start dipping their toe into maybe doing these things for the first time. And like we said, by the end of the year, hopefully it will feel a lot more like a platform than just this one-to-one tool that people are using to send and receive tracks.
Yeah, that's a very good way to summarize it. And then off the back of that, we'll be sort of going deeper into Studio, which we're now kind of saying is like the operating system for electronic music communities. So kind of broadening like the use case of music education and music educators and creators to labels and DJs, like kind of building their own community around their fan base, professional fan base that being, and having like a more modular approach to the type of member experience people want to offer, being more music focused, more, chat focused, or more content focused, or a combination of the two, basically giving a complete sort of modular approach to how you build a community based on like, things that we think are very common to a community, and then things that are very specific in electronic music. So more sort of music-led integrations and partnerships that really kind of allow you to give your members and, the type of music business you want to build, like as much flexibility as you want.
And also just like not, like Cam said, just not focused on content. Like one thing is like going back to that list in Inbox. It's like, how can you get the things you want to communicate to that list communicated? So like, is it a release? Is it that you sell sample packs? Is it that you have a consultancy which helps people with their music career? Like whatever it may be, like being able to put that into a community is what we're talking about here. And it will, we have this vision in our head for what it's going to become, and what people are using right now will be just the first part of it. But it's really cool, and if we pull it off and if we manage to execute on it correctly, then I think it's going to be massive. It's going to be really, really cool for people.
Yeah, I like I said, it's going back to like why we're doing it. It's going to hopefully be an inspiring place for people to really sort of say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And like, this is my plan. And that's kind of what this is all about, is like, we want people to stay in the game and not exit just because they're not getting where they want to go because of the music side. And it's so important to say that, like, it takes time with the music side to get it right, to find your sound, to find your groove, to find people that really like it, to find your own place in it. It just takes time. And our tools are all about kind of giving you that opportunity to grow now and then grow later and grow beyond that.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the other thing is, like, what else can people see and find us about Trackstack, and what else have we got on the calendar that's of note?
Well, we've got the event in Los Angeles with Developed. We'll have Carissa, who will be representing Trackstack there, talking about studio, talking about this in like more depth, with Kai being like one of the main examples. So that will be recorded for people who can't get there, and that will be shared. So if you can get there and you're in LA, it'll be a really good event. There's not just us speaking there. There's like people from Beatport and Insomniac Records and Kai himself, and then a couple really good artists.
And career focused as well. Like,
Yes.
I think, you know, there's a lot of production stuff out there, and that's important. But the other thing that a lot of people are craving is like, okay, well, how do I put that into a career? How can I, you know, start to manage myself? And what are the things that, you know, some of these really established artists have learned along the way that's going to be actually focused around the non-technical stuff around a electronic music career. So
and then we'll be at ADE.
ADE, we've got
We'll be doing a mixer, and then we might do a pop-up event just to meet and greet and have our team there. But we'll be at ADE, and then there's one more event in Chicago, Nexus Music.
Yeah, this is a cool event. They are doing, is it their second year or third year? Which is cool. So helping to support that, really cool team. Part of that. So that will kind of take us to the end of the year. But very exciting, and we're looking forward to the next. Hopefully we'll do this again before January.
Yeah,
we like to do
after ADE.
We might do it. We might do
in November, I think.
Yeah,
we're in Dubai.
Yeah, we might do it. We're gonna actually try and get me out of the city and get me somewhere different. Get me into a different country.
Yeah, but for those kind of wondering, when is this all coming out? When's this all going to kind of be a bit more public facing? End of October, ADE time, we'll probably have all of it available and ready to start using.
Yeah. But yeah.
Cool, man.
Thanks, man.